Welcome to the Entrepreneur Master Series. Today, I've got two guests for you, two for the price of one. We've got a great show. We're going to be talking about how to make the best social media videos on the planet. Before we get into the topic, I want to introduce the idea of what the Entrepreneur Master Series is. This is a live 90-minute, maximum 90 minutes. Sometimes we don't go that long, but 90-minute live webinar series that I do twice a month. And we are now streaming this. Not only is it on Zoom, for those of you that registered and you're participating on Zoom, but it's also live streamed on 4 social media channels: YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. So any of those places, you can look up The Real Jason Duncan. You can go to my page, and right there, you're going to see me live right here with the EMS live webinar series. What this series is designed to do, it's designed to bring high value content that's practical and tactical for today's successful entrepreneurs. And so I do this twice a month. And what I've designed it to do and curated it to do is bring in top experts in fields related to things like entrepreneurship, leadership, sales, financial literacy. Today it's going to be on social media. And we do this as a masterclass on these topics to grow and build amazing companies as entrepreneurs. And as I said, we're doing this live on Zoom plus four other places. So you're going to be able to get involved in this. If you, at any time during the show today, you want to ask a question to me or either one of our guest experts, all you got to do is go to the Q&A bubble at the bottom of your Zooms. If you're in Zoom, go to the Q&A bubble there, hit that, ask the question. Our producer, Garen, with Desk Rig, which I'll talk about in a minute, he'll see that question and we'll produce it live here on the show. We'll answer it live. If you're watching on any of the social media channels, all you got to do is go into the chat below the live video feed, type in your question, and we will see it. Garen will give it to us, our producer, and we'll be able to see it and answer it live. So it's going to be very interactive. So I'm glad that you're here today. Let me talk about the subject matter and introduce our guests for today. So today's content is all about how to create better social media content. If you follow me on Instagram, which you probably do, which is why you found out about this, or if you follow me on LinkedIn or you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you know that I post a social media short form video probably about once a day during the week. And most of those are done by the company that was founded by one of our guests today. It's called Story, which I'll talk more about them in a minute. But the reason I post those videos, the reason I spend time and energy and effort and money to put those videos out there is just not because I want people to look at my face online. It's because I have a message I want to share and I want to make an impact in this world. I want to have influence. I don't want to necessarily be an influencer, but I want to have influence in the world. And I want people to know my message and hear my message about finding your purpose and about being a 10-hour entrepreneur. And I do that through the medium of video. And that's the medium that we're using in this world today to talk to people. So Instagram and LinkedIn and YouTube, these are places where people are reading and finding out about what's going on, watching videos. So that's what you want to need. You've got to be able to do that too. You know, if you go back 30 or 40 years, you had to have a door-to-door salesman. You had to have a ad in the yellow pages. And then you had to, 20 years ago, you had to have a website. Well, today, if you're not doing short form video content, you're really not in business. You're not letting the world see your message. And so Story is that company that helps me do that. And they're actually the title sponsor of the Entrepreneur Master Series. And today we're lucky enough to have the founder and one of their other experts on their team, Deven, with us today to talk all about it. So let me introduce Connor and Deven. So Connor Snyder is the founder of Story. He's here today. And also Deven Gillen, who works with Story. And actually, Deven is the first person that I talked to with the company Story. He reached out to me and we developed a good relationship. And now I am a customer of Story, and they are also a sponsor of this show. But they are social media strategists. They work with speakers, coaches, any types of solo entrepreneurs or solopreneurs to use their skills to grow an audience of influence and a sphere of influence, just like what I was talking about. And the whole point here is to make people want to do business with you. And people do business with people they like. So if you can come across in a video in a way that people like, you're going to grow a personal brand that captivates the audience and it's going to separate you from other people and from everybody else that's out there. That company, Story, has been able to help companies like Cardone Ventures, Grant Cardone, undercover billionaire, Natalie Dawson, Mike Kroc, and they've helped many, many dozens of others, including yours truly, build a strong following so that when people see them, or that person releases a new product or whatever, people are willing to buy without asking a lot of questions. And that's the power of building a strong online presence. That's the power of creating some of the best social media videos on the planet. So I want to welcome the founder of Story and also a business development specialist with Story, Connor Snyder and Deven Gillen. Welcome to the Entrepreneur Master Series, guys.
Jason, thanks for having us. We're so excited to be here.
Well, it's cool to have you. So it's funny going back in the way that we connected. Deven does a podcast as part of his business with you guys at Story. Invited me to come on, and then ultimately we ended up doing business together. And now, Connor, you came on my podcast, The Root of All Success, not long ago, and shared your individual story and how this started. And today we're going to do a tactical version of all that. We're going to really get into the weeds of this. So let's go first with you, Connor, and then Deven. Just give us a brief introduction of kind of a little bit of your past, 60 seconds or so, just to kind of set the stage for who you are, and then we'll get into the tactics for today.
Yeah, be happy to. So, like you said, I'm the co-founder of Story. We are a social media technology and marketing company. I started off though really on Facebook groups as a kid. So, like, I remember my parents would like come into the office and be like, "What are you doing on Facebook? Get off! You're never going to make money." You know, dinking around on Facebook for 4 hours, and then here we are, talking about social media for our businesses. But I also done a lot of content creation, blog writing, helped grow a couple of websites to millions of views every month with blogs and SEO strategies. From there, started getting into performance marketing, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Snapchat ads. If there's an ad platform, I've played with it. And that led to really focusing on what makes someone want to click on an ad. And it was all about engaging, authentic, real content. And from there, we really saw this very obvious problem, which is a lot of people wanted to create great content, but didn't know how to do it. And so with Story, we've really tried to systematize and take away a lot of the complexity so that you just got to pull out your phone camera and record, and we take care of the rest. So that's kind of my background and how we've helped people solve that problem.
Very good. Well, welcome to the show, Connor. We're glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you have the company Story for us to do this. Deven, what about you, man?
Yeah, I mean, my journey goes a little while back. So about 5 years ago, believe it or not, I was in college one weekend and I dropped out. I went to work for this small mortgage company called Castle and Cook Mortgage, and I was actually lucky enough to meet Connor Snyder there. And I didn't know I wanted to do marketing at the time, but we were helping these loan officers run Facebook ads. And what we realized, what ran the best ads were video marketing. So getting them in front of a camera, having them share their story. And I just found this passion of like, hey, if we can focus on organic marketing and video content to grow these companies, they can grow a lot quicker than running those stock images and videos. So I've been working with Connor for about 5 years. Story, I've loved working here from the beginning. So it's been really fun to see it grow. And we're on a mission to help people share their authentic message. There's a lot of technology right now that can obscure that message or not bring clarity or not sound like you, like Chat GPT, for an example. And video is really hard to replace that. So we're really on a mission to help like people like Jason sharing a message that people can connect with them. And I actually reached out to Jason on Instagram because I thought he was a cool dude. He was already recording content before I reached out. I'm like, Jason, if you remember, like, hey, Jason, I'm a small dog and I know it'd mean a lot to me. Can you hop on my podcast? I was like, it's funny because I was just growing in my career and I was starstruck. I'm like, dude, I have the Jason Duncan on my podcast. And that's when I started like going upper and upper with people I have on the podcast. So I appreciate you taking that message. And I met Jason through social media and video content. So that's a little bit about me. Jason, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I can't hear you. So I hope everybody else
Well,
can.
it's me. I hit the mute button. I hit the mute button on my
I
microphone.
looked and I wait until I say something. I was like,
Okay. That's okay. Well, the weird thing about having a manual mute button on your mic is that you forget to turn it off. When you just use the digital mute, everybody picks up on that pretty fast. So my apologies. But what I was saying is the funny thing about the social media stuff, the funny thing about this is that, I've been posting social media videos, I guess it's 2019. And at some point, I'm going to be able to show the difference between what I was doing then and what I'm doing now. And how bad it was then, because I was doing these videos called Friday Sales Tips, and they're all still on YouTube. You can go look at them and laugh at me if you want to, but I did those, but I was doing them wrong. I didn't shoot them the right. I was doing this angle rather than the vertical. Of course, back then the vertical wasn't that big of a thing, right? Now it's all vertical. TikTok helped us get there, but my video game has improved significantly. And a lot of that's due to you guys helping me out, trying to tell me, because you've got a great platform and how to give good prompts, good hooks, etc. But today we want to dive in not just to me and what I'm doing online, but like how everybody can do it. So I want to remind the audience, if you have any questions about any of this stuff on social media, I know we've got a live group. I'm looking at my LinkedIn. We got a bunch of people that are live, YouTube. We got people, nobody on Twitter, but I'm never on Twitter. So it doesn't surprise me that nobody's watching on Twitter, but, and Facebook, I can't get to, so I don't know what's going on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, thanks. But if you got questions, Zoom, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or LinkedIn, please put them in the chat. And our producer, Garen, will pull them out and let us answer those questions live for you. So let's do this. What and why do you want to post social media content for? I did a little my soapbox at the beginning, but Connor, Deven, why should people post videos on social media?
Well, let me take this one real quick, because Deven had mentioned this a little bit earlier, ChatGPT and AI. And it's a very unique, 2 months that it's been, where some of the things that we've all talked about of being an eventuality are becoming a real thing. I mean, just this week, Microsoft has released their version of AI built into their search engine, Bing. Google's going and announcing their integration with OpenAI, or their own custom home-built language learning model, Lambda, to help have these more personalized search experiences. And what that means for people that are building a brand or trying to build influence, it means that your message is going to get swallowed up in a world of generative AI content. And I say this with absolute surety, you are going to see more and more companies rely on 100% automated written content, image generated content, etc., to put out their message into the world. And while that may be a viable strategy in some ways, what it also does is it changes the supply and demand of content a little bit, because what's impossible to replicate at scale at the moment is us individually on camera with our voice, our persona, speaking about something that is current and topical with our applied expertise online. It's just, you cannot automate that yet. As good as AI is, we're probably another 10, 15, 20 years to start playing that game. And I think especially as entrepreneurs, so much of what we do happens in real life. It happens in person, at events, meeting and talking with people on a call even. And so what our content needs to have is this authenticity, this absolute clear trust that we're establishing, so that people want to get to know us and do business with us. And as the supply of bad, not necessarily bad, but supply of auto-generated content increases, the demand for it will decrease. And it will put a premium on raw, real, authentic content from trusted figures and leaders. And so if you're really thinking about what kind of content should I be creating, that's going to help me stand out, video and personal video are absolutely essential to help your business succeed. So
you said video and personal video. What do you mean by personal video?
Yeah. So, I'm dating a girl who's in the ad world. She spends millions and millions of dollars on makeup ads every month. And she's worked at a couple of marketing agencies. One of them was behind the purple mattress videos. I don't know if you remember those on Facebook from, about a decade ago. Really silly, high production, crazy experiment kind of videos. And what's interesting is she's been in the ad world long enough that she has seen this trend over the last decade, where high production TV quality-esque commercials are not converting or getting the engagement that they used to get on social media. And what's happening is she actually did an experiment where she took a video she recorded on Snapchat and then like put on the Snapchat text like loving this makeup and ran it for one of her ads. That was 4 years ago, and it's still the highest converting ad that company has ever run, and it's still live and still converting. And so the message here is, do you want to go necessarily with this like, explosions and driving cars off of cliffs kind of content, or can you take your phone out, record a video, and share that, and have that be still a more effective message than something that's high production? So personal content is the content that you can create yourself so that it has this trust factor with your audience.
Okay, good. So personal videos there. All right, Deven, what you want to ring in on that too?
Yeah. Why should people get on social media? And I think it's really important because even for you, Jason, like sometimes you got to remember, why am I on social media in the first place? And there's two ways to do this. The first way I see a lot of people do is I just want to get more sales. I want to get more deals. I want to get more closes. And that's short-minded thinking. You got to think of the long term. How can I stay consistently in front of my clients, my referral partners, my potential clients, where they're going to start referring business with me or wanting to work with me? So Gary Vee talked about this with Mr. Beast, but Mr. Beast grew this brand over several years, and he's launched, I think it's a restaurant. He launched like a couple other things for products, and they just exploded. And it's because he grew this audience online over several years that when he released those products, everybody bought him because they trusted him and they liked him. So when you think about social media, it's hard to measure the ROI, and you just got to remember first, what's your mission on why you're getting on social media? So for mine, it's to educate people on how to succeed on social media and video content, share the personal message, not focusing on sales. And then secondly, you got to remember the long-term play here. You're going to grow relationships that you wouldn't have been able to otherwise than calling them individually on the phone. So practice sharing that value and that knowledge, and just remember the long-term play here than the short play.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I think that's an important point. So for those that are watching this and you're trying to learn about what it means to create short form videos, you've got to think about it in terms of the long game here. I don't remember the guy's name. Probably you guys know, but who's the black kid on TikTok who just did that thing where like he did never say anything. He was like, people complicate. What's that guy? You guys know what I'm talking about? What's that guy's name?
Anyway, I don't know his name, but I know who you're talking about.
I think everybody knows who I'm talking about. His videos are hilarious. I remember watching some of the first ones going, that's actually pretty funny, because it was somebody showing a hack and it ended up being like a long cut rather than a shortcut. It was stupid. And he was thinking, hey, he would just do that face. Well, he said, I watched a video of him on Instagram just, I guess today, and it said, as he was getting started, he says, I remember one month I had 9 views, like 9. And then the next month it was insane. Now his grew pretty fast because we were in the middle of the pandemic. Everybody's on their phone. Nobody had anything to do. But the normal person takes longer to do that. But the reality is you still go from 9 to 200,000. It doesn't go from 0 to 200,000. It goes 0 to 1 to 2 to 9 to 10 to 20 to 30. And it grows, and it takes a long, long time. I've been shooting videos for years. And now I'm sitting at, I guess, about 50,000 followers on Instagram, about 5,000 on LinkedIn. My YouTube video my YouTube channel subscribers, weirdest thing ever. I was stuck at like 500 or 600 for the longest time. And this week alone, I've just jumped up over 900. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened. I don't know if a video kind of went semi-viral, but it's you got to do it for the long term. It's not something you could do quickly. All right, now I'm going to turn it. Go ahead, Connor. You going to say something?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's funny because a lot of people think that the goal is to go viral, right? Like they're like, I'm going to go viral. I'm going to make this video and I'm going to get famous. But if I asked you, do you remember the first person that did the cinnamon challenge? My guess is you're going to say no, right? Like no one remembers the people that just go viral for the sake of being viral. And even this guy, we don't even remember his name, right? Yeah. And that's, I think, part of the thing that we have to remember when we're deploying this strategy, because it's very easy to like go and put a ton of effort and creative energy into making this video, you know, and then we go and post and it's like, oh, 10 views. Like, this sucks. And I think what you got to remember when you have those moments of discouragement is, look, it's better to get this seen by 10 of the right people than 10,000 of the wrong people. I'll give you an example of a client that we worked with before. He had bought one of the engagement farms in Malaysia, and he was seeing a very interesting thing happen where he was trying to get out his message in this offer. And as he put the content out, no one would respond to his offers ever. And you would go look at the demographic data inside of Instagram of his reach, and it was like tons of views from Southeast Asia. And he's that's one of the things you got to remember is sometimes there's a strategy to doing things like buying followers and things, and we could get into some of that, but I think that if you're trying to build a relationship and you're trying to build a brand, it's important to remember that you got to put your content in front of the right people. And one of the things you said, Jason, just barely about YouTube and consistency with YouTube, you were hovering around a couple hundred and all of a sudden you started catching fire, right? The first 1,000 is going to be a grind to get to, right?
Yeah.
But part of what the social media channels are trying to figure out in their system is their algorithm is weighting consistency. It's literally part of the thing that they're going to consider before they recommend your content to somebody, because they understand that consistent people build relationships with their audience. And if they build a relationship with their audience, they're going to come back to the platform to see what that creator has to say. And so if you want to be recommended more often, it's not just like a nice platitude of like consistency is important. It's literally data-driven, rules-based technology that says if you are more consistent, you will be recommended more often.
So consistency, I think, is a big takeaway for everybody taking notes on this webinar. Is that no matter what you are doing, you need to be consistent. You need to be posting consistently, whether or not you're using platforms like Story to help you, or you're using any other firm or anybody else to help you. Just do it on a consistent basis. So if that in fact is true, which I know that it is, and that's why I'm reiterating it, how many times per day, per week, per month what does consistent mean? Like, is there a metric? Because we need to know what that is in order to be consistent. Either one of you guys want to weigh in on that?
Connor, you want me to take it? So I actually got asked this question today, funny enough, on a demo call. And he's like, well, I need to be posting 3 times a day. Like, that's what people are telling me on TikTok in order to go viral. So first, wrong thinking, trying to go viral instead of growing that community. But to me, consistency is minimum once a week. And it's the same day of the week. So if you do that every Monday, once a week, you're growing a consistent audience where people can expect you to show up. There was a time, so the person that we helped, he had a consistent message going out at least once a day, and I would see his message. So he'd always be on top of mind for me. There's things that happen in his business, so we don't work with him anymore. But now I honestly forgot who he was for about 3 weeks. And then I saw something go up and I'm like, oh, I remember who this guy is. So I think just making sure it's consistent, either it's once a week, twice a week, or every day. It's really important that you have a schedule that you follow, that you just put in your calendar, you block it out and you do it. Because we all get busy. Jason, you get busy. Connor gets busy. But we've got to make that like part of our schedule or we're going to forget about it.
So what I'm hearing you saying is that it isn't really about how many times, it's just being consistent on the time that you choose to post.
Yeah. It's a very common old school social media kind of thinking where, it used to be, it's crazy that this used to be how it is because most people don't remember this, but Facebook used to have a chronological feed, 100% chronological. So you would get on there and the newest thing would be at the top and the oldest thing would be at the bottom. And when that's how it works, if you post 4 or 5 times a day, well, then you're going to show up in that feed 4 or 5 times a day. So yeah, the more often you post, the more you'll be seen. And that makes sense. But we don't live in a chronological feed anymore. We live in an algorithm feed. We live in a feed that recommends us content based off of our interest. And it's going to be a combination of both interest and recency, right? So Some platforms weigh this differently. For example, a long form YouTube video, that's not going to weight recency as much as something like Instagram will. And TikTok even doesn't weight recency as much as Instagram does, right? And we could get into some of the reasons why, but the principle here that I think, Jason, you're trying to make sure your audience understands is you should be focusing way more about the quality rather than hitting a post minimum. If you focus on the quality, you're going to deliver value for your audience. You're going to create content that is going to make people want to come back. And if you're consistently doing that once a day or once a week or multiple times a day, great. But you should be asking the question first, is this a quality piece of content? And am I being consistent? If you do those two things, the amount of posts per day becomes a secondary thing.
So let's then dive in. If we know now consistency doesn't necessarily mean every day, every hour, et cetera. It's not necessarily based on recency, which I think is an interesting word. If you say it's based on quality, what does that mean?
Great question. Yeah. Quality is so funny because it's such a subjective word. Like everyone's definition of what a quality thing is can be a little different. So let's think through a little bit the incentive structure of social media, right? The social media platforms, while they're giving us all for free, they all are making a bunch of money, right? Like Facebook isn't over there like suffering on the brink of death. Maybe Twitter a little bit, but there's stuff changing over there. TikTok's making, dough. These platforms are making money, but we're all getting them for free. Well, why? It's because we give them data and we give them attention. They get data so they can sell it to advertisers, and advertisers pay them money to show us content in the feed. And the more we're on those platforms, the more we see ads, and the more we see ads, the more money those platforms make. And so really what this fundamentally means is the longer we're on the platform, the more we are a good user to the platform. And so what they're trying to do is figure out, well, what do you, Jason, you, Connor, you, Deven, want to see so you stay on the platform longer? So in my mind, what quality means is what is the kind of content that the algorithm for the platform is going to recommend to people that keeps them online. And so there's a couple of things that each platform does that they believe keeps people online and watching videos. So examples of this: on Instagram, vertical video; on TikTok, vertical video; YouTube Shorts, vertical video is going to get you recommended more often than if you film it sideways. If you post something as a reel on Instagram versus a feed post, it's going to get recommended to people that don't follow you more than it's going to be recommended to people that do. And so understanding both the technical quality pieces the platforms want, along with the artistic quality things, I think is really important to successful content.
The quality, so there's technical quality, and then there's what did you say? You use two different kinds of quality.
Artistic quality. Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, like, let's define artistic quality a little bit, right? Well, let's talk about the algorithm first, because it informs the artistic quality to a degree. So when you get onto TikTok or Instagram or YouTube Shorts and you watch a video and you're like, how did it know? I'll use my girlfriend as an example because she's so predictable. She loves ducks, like animal ducks, cute, quacking little ducks. And without fail, if she opens her Instagram or TikTok feed, it's a duck video or a cow video. She likes cows grazing fields. Like, those are her favorite things. And so she DMs me these every day, and it's like a nightly ritual that we go through and watch these duck and cow videos. So lo and behold, all of a sudden, when I'm at work and I get on Instagram, I'm getting recommendations for duck videos because I watch duck videos with my girlfriend all the time. I've trained the algorithm to say, I'm really into ducks. And so what we all have to remember is the content that we consume is going to be recommended to us more and more often. And if we understand that, we need to recognize that consistency around the topics we create will inform the algorithm who to recommend this to. So Jason, when you're talking about entrepreneurship, the more you talk about entrepreneurship, the more entrepreneurship content, the more that content is going to be recommended to people that care about entrepreneurship. And if the people that care about entrepreneurship see you talk about entrepreneurship enough, they're going to follow you and keep engaging with your content, right? And so if you understand that the algorithm is built on these kind of interest-based topics, that should inform you to get really clear, what are the topics that I want to be known for? And once you understand that, then it's about how do I make those topics in my message look as amazing as possible. And Deven can talk a little bit about like what are the best practices for making quality content that's going to be engaging around those topics.
All right, well, let's get into the meat of it then, Deven. You want to kind of take us a little wading a little deeper into that?
Yeah, no, I really love talking about this. I think one thing I'd add to Connor with like how do you get your content in front of the right people is remember your audience. So if I started making content about cows, my audience is going to be like, what the heck is going on? Instagram and TikTok's going to be like, what the heck is going on? Like, what is Deven Gillen talking about? So we need to make sure that first our content is consistent, like Connor said, and we're thinking of our audience first before we start creating. So a study came out, every 3 seconds, someone goes to their next video if you don't hook them. So those first 3 seconds are vital. You got to capture their attention. Now there's a few things that you can do on there. First is you can do something crazy. You can ask a question is another thing you can do. What are the common questions that people are asking? So one exercise I like to do once a month, I'll go to my clients, I'll say, hey, what are some questions that you ask as it relates to social media? And that's the content that helps me create. That's the type of content I want to create for my audience because I know exactly what people are asking. Secondly, after you get those first 3 seconds, now you got to start sharing your story. You got to start sharing your message. Common mistake I see a lot of creators do is they talk in circles over and over again. So what I suggest, it's actually a really good tactic I use. I grab a sticky note, I write 3 bullet points, I put it on my phone so it still looks like I'm pulling up my phone, but I'm recording so it's consistent and it doesn't talk in circles. So I'm going down the flow. Also, do you know what CoComelon is, Jason?
Heard of it. I don't have kids young enough to be into it, but I know what it is.
Well, my kids don't watch it anymore, which is funny because it's like, I honestly think it's really bad. It's like they see the CoComelon, it's like, holy crap, they're on cocaine. Like they'll be the worst kids. You turn that on, they'll be like, holy crap. They haven't watched it for like 6 months. And the reason why is because what CoComelon does is every 3 to 5 seconds, they have a different scene or something happening. So your videos, every 3 to 5 seconds, you need something happening. Either that's your voice lowering, maybe your voice being higher, maybe it's a pop-up coming up every 3 seconds, maybe it's a zoom out every 3 seconds. But you need something happening every 3 to 5 seconds because it keeps them hooked in that video and to continually watching it. And then lastly, I would say is the message. So I was on TikTok the other day and this guy, have you guys seen this where like people will post a short clip of their YouTube video onto TikTok? Have you guys seen that?
Yep.
So the guy's like, okay, watch the rest of my video on my YouTube channel if you want to see the full thing. And someone commented, it was the most like comment and said, buddy, nobody is going to go outside of TikTok. Go into YouTube and watch your video. We're staying inside of the platform. So if you are recording content, make it so it's applicable to everywhere where they can stay inside of the platform and watch it. Because another thing that these algorithms reward you on is if those people are staying inside of those content and not leaving the platform, then it's just going to help you even more. So those are just some things I've picked up throughout the years. Connor might have more tactical, and that's really what I like is the tactics.
Yeah, one other thing that I think is a funny stat, 74% of Americans admit to watching videos on their phone while they're in the bathroom. and that's just the ones that would admit to it. It's
We have to admit that? Is that something I'm not supposed to tell people?
But the thing that's funny is us, polite society would say, if you're going to do that, do it with the sound off so we don't have to hear it. Right. And I think that's something we've got to remember is you've got to make it so people can watch your content with the sound off. And there's auto-generated tools that each platform has to like auto-generate captions for you. They're not super accurate, but they'll show up. One of the things that we do with Story is we make sure you've got those really big, bright, attention-grabbing captions, supporting assets, things like, when you're telling a story and then having an image or a graphic that comes up that supports what you're saying, it makes that, what Deven was talking about, that 3 to 5 second constant change, easier to do because you've got revolving assets happening on the screen. So yeah, there's things you got to do to make sure your content is capturing attention, because fundamentally the currency of the internet is attention. And we've got to understand that, because if you're trying to build a following, if you're trying to build influence, you've got to make sure your content is bringing people in so they pay attention to you.
So this idea of watching it without sound, I want to kind of go down this rabbit trail for just a minute, because I understand that and I get it, because there are times when I'm in a public place and I don't have my earbuds and I want to watch videos and I can't watch them unless they're captioned. And so I know that's part of the services that you guys provide. You do this really cool on-screen captions. This is what most good people on social media right now that are good at their craft are doing on-screen captions. And I get it. So that there's zero disagreement. But I have this wild idea that I have not dropped publicly at all, and you guys are going to be the first ones to hear me say this. And if somebody goes and does this without my permission, this is my idea. I'm gonna stick Deven on you. He's gonna beat you up with Cocoa Melon or something. I don't know what's gonna happen, but so here's the thing. I'm in my car a lot driving, and I like to listen to videos, right? But there's so many of them that are just, it's some stupid pop song that, like, TikTok famous song that over an image or something. Okay, at that moment, that does nothing for me. And so I'm driving and I'll reach down and I'll just swipe. I don't have to take my eyes off the road to do that. Cops, you leave me alone. But so I could swipe and I go to the one, and I'm listening for the ones that are motivational, or the ones that are, if they're funny, they have to be like a comedian talking. It can't be visually funny because I'm not watching it. Here's my prediction. Somebody's going to create an app that it's just going to be audio, and it's just going to be motivational or funny stuff that requires no visuals 4 times like that when people are listening. That's my prediction, because Clubhouse, for example, who would have ever thought that people getting on that would have been a thing? And that just blew up a few years ago. Who would have ever thought short form video content and a vertical view would ever blow up? I'm predicting, the real Jason Duncan is predicting it right now, February 2023. Somebody's going to create a social media platform that's audio only for times like that. What do you guys think?
Hey, that's interesting thought. It's funny because I think a lot of the audio platforms at the moment are like live audio, Twitter Spaces, Clubhouse rooms. Like it's definitely this live ongoing conversation. I think that what's interesting is there's this great way of you doing audio and video that I think would enable that. Like, podcasting is such a great way to do this kind of thing. And a lot of people have this crazy idea that a podcast has to be an hour long, high production thing. A podcast could be a 5-minute clip or a 3-minute clip or a 10-minute clip. And if you record video while you do it, now you've got an audio piece of content that you can use for, Jason's new audio platform that's coming up. And also you've got video from that footage as well that you can go use on other platforms. And so if you're struggling to create consistent content with your phone, which is crazy because this is always in your pocket, just go and reuse your computer, record for 10 minutes, get your thoughts out as a podcast, and then that can get spliced up and be turned into a bunch of really great short form content.
Yeah, I agreed. I just do. I don't know why I was thinking about that, but I do think some sort of short form audio content platform needs to be created for people that they're just able to listen. They can't watch. They're busy. Their hands are otherwise occupied. They're doing something, but they want to hear short form, not podcasts, because podcasts are the long form, but just short form, just inspirational or informational or educational or entertaining short form 30 to 60-second pieces that are like, oh, that was good. That was really good. And you could swipe just the same thing, just swipe forward, swipe backwards. And you could follow people that put out great audio motivational content or educational content. Anyway, if there's an investor listening who wants to invest with me, let's go. I'm your man. I think it's a great idea, because I'd be the first customer of my own product. Well, let's get into technical stuff. So I know you guys have some slides you want to share to kind of go through some of the tactics of how to create great videos. And I just did a test. I asked our producer to take me off screen. I hope I was off screen when I was doing that, but I just did a test. I've got this really cool camera where I can show my phone on the camera on a desktop view. And so if we wanted to go and look at anything in Instagram or whatever, I can do that on my phone. And I've got a desktop camera that can make that happen. So I'll turn it over to you guys, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, so we had a couple of slides that I think we really covered most of already, but I did want to show this Instagram account of someone that we actually recently started working with. His name's Mike Staver. He's a public speaker, He's really trying to really commit to social media. Really great guy. And it's funny because if you go back in time, you can kind of see where he was doing his content. I think this is classic content right here. It's great because he made a video, which I respect, but it's very chin and forehead focused. He's got a blurry photo, which honestly feels very Tumblr-esque. But it's definitely not on brand for Mike here, and some nice landscapes. But if you saw this as Mike's feed, you wouldn't be able to know who Mike was, understand what he does, and really get to know Mike. And if you scroll up here, you're going to see, oh, well, this is where stories start to take over, right? And some of the things, I think this video here got 15,000 views, this first one that we did for him, right? And, he's got a camera, he's recording and talking, and then we're going and adding these captions and make it engaging and interesting. He's got a bunch of bad takes and misspeaks that he had. He tried to take this a bunch of times. We went through and found all the best stuff and stitched it together in something that was comprehensive for his message. But I think that you can see thumbnails as well here. We're putting thumbnails on the content, so that way when it's getting posted and you go to his profile, you see, oh, that's interesting. I want to learn more about that. I want to see what he thinks about that. And this builds that credibility and authority, because when I go to Mike's page now, I look at Mike and I'm like, well, this guy's got a message. Like, this guy's got something to say. I should follow him. I want to see more from him, versus this, which is, I've got my great aunt Catherine posting stuff like this. I don't need more great aunt Catherine in my feed, right?
So let me interrupt for there for a second. Leave that on the screen, Garen. So what's this guy's? We're gonna give this guy a shout out since you brought him up. Let's go follow him. He's only got 1,200 followers, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
So what? Well, who is it? What's his Instagram?
So it's Staver.Mike.
What is it?
Staver.Mike. STAVER.Mike. MI.
All right. So he's got 1,275 followers. And so go follow him, go add to his follower list and give it to him. And I do like the fact that the thumbnails are all matching. As a matter of fact, that's on my agenda to talk with who's my new guy? I completely forgot his name. Anyway, my new account manager, it's like, I want to talk about thumbnails. I want to start being more consistent on my thumbnails, because I think mine are good, but they're not consistent and on brand. So let me ask you about on brand with Mike here. So you got Aunt Catherine there, then you got some that are just text, then you got some sky photos, and then you got the lips and chin. And obviously it's very different. Is there ever a time when you can post a reel? Like I don't even post feed pictures anymore. I only do reels. I only do videos on Instagram. Is there ever a time to do one off brand? Like, I do stories that are off brand, like a picture of my car or a picture of me or a video of me riding my motorcycle, like what I did the other day. Is that ever appropriate for us to post that on reels or on wherever we're posting? That's not a story. It goes away. Like, can we do it off brand on our main feed? I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, it's a great question. So what does it mean to be on brand and off brand? Let's define that a little bit. So on brand, in my mind, meets the expectations and promises that you as a brand are making to your audience. And so if your brand is to always be talking about a specific topic, that's going to be on brand. If your brand is to talk about your personal life and things you're doing, that's on brand. And when things are off brand, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. I'll give you an example. Duolingo has been an app that's been around for 10 plus years. It's a language learning app. And when they went to TikTok, they let their intern put on an owl suit, which is their mascot, and just do deranged, insane, crazy stuff. Things that were completely off brand for Duolingo. Well, Duolingo has now become iconic on TikTok. Lots of followers, lots of engagement. And they did something off brand that ultimately was a huge attention play. And so I think in the decision to be on brand or off brand, I think it's really, is this going to help me get attention? I think if it's going to help you get attention, being off brand isn't necessarily a bad thing. But, you posting videos of going out on your motorcycle, that doesn't feel off brand to me. That feels very on brand for Jason. That feels like a holistic picture into Jason's life. And I think that's okay. I think it's more about proportions, because if you post about your motorcycle all the time, well, then it's going to be Jason, the motorcycle guy, not Jason, the entrepreneur. Right. But yeah, I think variety is good.
Helpful. That's helpful. All right. So what else? What other kind of tactics and tips can we deep dive into on how to make the best social media videos on the planet?
So I got a tip on how to grow your audience, or a few tips. I'll try to pull it up. I don't think the slides are done just yet, but I think will help a bunch with people trying to grow their community. So Connor, if you want to go into something else, I'll try to get this up on the side. That's why I'm looking at my other screen, and then I can dive through those 8 tactics.
Yeah, you're good. I think the other thing that is really important to remember in this whole equation is that social media is not a billboard, it's a conversation. And I see a lot of people that will go and just put out content and never think about responding to people that engage with them. And they just kind of like expect that like they're going to make a video and like everyone's going to come and just be like, holy cow, this is like a world shattering piece of content. And in reality, if you want to build community and really build a following, you've got to go and give attention. I said earlier, attention is the currency of the internet. And what I meant by that is if I give you attention, you're going to give it back to me. That we are going to have this exchange of value and exchange of attention. And so if you aren't getting enough attention on your accounts, go do a business with other accounts, meaning go comment on other people's stuff, go watch other people's stuff. And when you genuinely appreciate it, let them know. And if you go and invest the time to do that, take 10 minutes in a day to go and leave positive engagement on other people's profiles, I guarantee you within 2 weeks, your engagement on all your accounts will go up, even if you don't change your content strategy at all. And it's going to be because the social platforms are building, they're called social networks because they're mapping the network of our relationships, right? And so if I go comment on your stuff and then the person that I commented on likes it, we just told the social platforms that we care about each other. And so we're going to show each other our content more often in each other's feeds, which is ultimately what we want, right? And so remembering that there's this kind of engagement relationship with anyone we interact with, it's super, super important. And if you hack it by just being really intentional about your engagement, you're going to see your own engagement on your own content improve.
Good stuff.
Okay. I wish I had some slides to share. They're not complete, so maybe next time, or we can send it afterwards. So I went to this conference about 3 weeks ago, and this guy was like, he grew a few TikTok accounts to like millions of followers. And he said he did some studies of like, there's 8 different ways people grow their TikTok account. And he said something that was really interesting. He said TikTok is an entertainment first, and then Instagram, Facebook is more community driven. So if you are just trying to grow your TikTok, grow a community, he said once you grow that community, start sharing your own stories because you want to try to build it up. But these were the 8 ways that he said there's been research and things going right, why TikTok accounts like start growing a lot quicker than others. So the first tactic that we went through was what makes you different. So like, as you think about your business, Jason Duncan, when I think of Jason, I actually think of the 10-hour work week, which is funny. So I know Jason because he's a lot different than everybody else. There's a lot of people trying to help people or help entrepreneurs get out of that 40-hour work week. But Jason's the first one that I've heard about the 10-hour work week. So number one, what makes you different from everybody else? Number 2, storytelling. So my most viewed Instagram reel was actually a story that I shared. So I try to implement stories a little bit more. And what I mean by storytelling is going through the experience with your audience. So this is a quote by Ty Bennett when I was listening to him. He said, you don't tell the story, you live the story. You live that story again. So act like you're there. Don't just tell about the story, act like you're in that story. And that's helped me with my accounts and starting to grow that. The third tactic that he gave to grow these accounts was understand what the hero's journey is. How are you a guide for that person's journey? So Jason, again, I think of you. How are you helping these entrepreneurs get out of the 40-hour work week and get into the 10-hour work week? How can we get them out of the grind and still enjoy life instead of trying to kill themselves growing that business? So understand what that hero's journey is. Fourth, education. So this is what I mainly focus on. Jason, this is what you focus on. How can you educate your audience? So that's more of that podcast style or those 60-second clips of just giving advice. Those accounts do really well. So that's another good tactic of like how to grow your account on TikTok. A fifth option is audience engagement. So there's literally TikTok accounts that will ask a question. They will go to the comments, pull that comment to like, they'll do a remix and just that's their whole TikTok account. And that's how they grow their TikToks. So again, it's filtering through these and trying to figure out what sticks for your TikTok account. when you're doing these. So that's the fifth option. Sixth is shareable content. So how can you make your content shareable? What does that mean? So a good example of this is the podcast. I can share this podcast with other people. It's shareable content. I'm going to share it because I was on the show. Connor's going to share it because he was on the show. How can we make that content shareable with other people? That's another tactic to grow your audience. And then another one is documenting everything that you do. So there's a lot of TikTok accounts. I mean, Mr. Beast does this for YouTube, but literally just pull out your phone and document every single thing you do. It's funny, but there's a lot of channels that like show their whole day in a 60-second clip. They just document everything that they do. That's their whole account on TikTok. And then the last tactic he gave was number 8 was consistency. It's probably the most important one. It's not really a tactic. So I'd say there's 7 different options you can reference your account around, but you should be consistent with all those tactics that you're doing and do it on a consistent basis. So I thought it was just really interesting because I'm going to start trying it. My goal, again, isn't to go viral. It's to grow an audience where I can have 10 people that know me, that I'd rather have reach 10 than 10,000 that don't know me or know what my mission is about. But if you are trying to grow your TikTok from the ground, those are some good options to start filming.
Well, that's good. You guys watching this after the fact, you can roll that back and play that again. I wrote those down, and I will make sure that those are in the replay. So if you've registered on Zoom, you get the replay. If you're anywhere else, you'll just have to watch the replay on the platform. But if you get the replay from me, I'll send it out in an email, and I will include those 8 things that Deven just mentioned because I wrote them down. So it's good stuff. And this is a good opportunity for us to ask for questions from the live audience. So if there's anybody out there right now watching and you've got a question about how to make the best social media videos on the planet, just pop that into the chat window. If you're on Zoom, put it in the Q&A bubble, and our producer Gillen will pull that and drop that live. Also, I want to give everybody the opportunity to go check out Story. This is the company that Connor owns. It's therealjasonduncan.com/story with 2 Y's. therealjasonduncan.com/story. They'll give you 1 free edit so that you can see what they do. So you can send in your video and they will edit it for you and send it back with all the stuff that we just talked about, the on-screen graphics, the zoom cuts, the subtitles, all that stuff will be on there for you to see what it's like. Plus, if you sign up to that link, you get a great discount on their services, and they're the best. I've used lots and lots of people in the past, different companies. Everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses, but by far, Story has eclipsed them all. And I'm happy to have them as the title sponsor for the Entrepreneur Master Series. I talk about them not only today because they're on the show, but every time we do this show, they're our sponsor. So go to therealjasonduncan.com/story to know how to get your videos to turn into the best videos on the social media platform, wherever you like to live. So thank you guys for sponsoring the show. I really, really appreciate that. So let's look at some other tactics. Now we've got, if we just kind of break this down, first of all, we want to shoot vertically. Vertical videos for short form. Obviously, YouTube is long form. You want to do that. You want to do that on horizontal. We're going to shoot vertical, right? So we're shooting vertical. Is there anything about how we shoot it vertically that we could talk about? Maybe somebody's not paying attention to. You were talking about your guy Mike shooting it up his nose. Is there a way that we can shoot better to be better on our videos vertically?
Yeah, this is a really easy thing to remember. Photographers follow this, cinematographers as well. It's the rule of thirds. It's super simple, but a lot of people don't know it. And the general rule is if you think of your screen divided into 3 sections, generally you want you as the person to be taking up about 2/3 or 1/3 of that screen. And so typically with horizontal content, we would say 1/3. You want your face right in the middle, like I'm doing here. And if we were to do vertical content, then I probably would step back a little bit. I'd leave a little bit of space above my head, and then I would fill up, about 2/3 of the viewport. And what's additionally something to think about is if you're going to have an outside team edit, like Story, for example, we would prefer you just give us a little more space anyway. Like go out even a little bit farther, because now we can punch in, we can zoom in, we can play with depth a little bit more when we're doing cuts with your video, versus if you're like really like right up in the screen and you've got your eyeball like sticking out in front of the lens, it's going to be off-putting. And so following that rule of thirds, it's just a way our brain processes visual information that other people will feel looks nice. And so it's a very easy way to make sure your content looks good and avoid, chin syndrome or any other weird framing.
That's a good reminder. I need to do better at that. I do most of my videos arm's length with my camera phone like this, so which fills it up. Because I don't know. It's easier for me to do that than sitting on a tripod and backing up. But all right. Well, what else on shooting vertical do we need to kind of remember and do? The rule of thirds is good. Anything else?
Yeah, I think Deven kind of mentioned this earlier, which is you want to have motion, you want to have stuff that's changing in your view. A really easy tip is go record while you're moving outside. And when you're moving around outside, it's really hard to stay like, 2/3 in the camera all the time. So we're not going to fault you too much for that, Jason. I think it's when you're out and about and you've got that motion of constant background scenery shifting, it makes it just more visually interesting, right?
Mhm.
Like it's kind of the difference between going to like an art museum and see, a blank canvas with like a white streak across it and it's like modern art. It's really clean, looks nice, I guess, versus going and looking like a Van Gogh painting and seeing so many different intricate detail, right? It just makes your like eyes want to look at every part of it. And so having that motion so that the viewer doesn't know what's going to be in frame next, even if you don't got anything special going on, is naturally going to pull in that attention as well.
One of the things that you guys helped me with is that most of the videos I was doing before, even though I was holding my phone myself and videoing myself, I would do one long cut without any breaks. And of course, you guys can cut it, but when I do it that way, the background wasn't really changing a lot unless I was walking. So now what I'm doing is I'm using the pause button on the. I don't think iOS has that. I know I'm a Google Pixel guy, but there in my video on my phone when I do a video, there is a pause button so that I can pause. Does the iPhone have that too, where you can pause?
No, it doesn't.
So what you guys have, what iPhone users have, is that if you hold the record button, you can push your thumb up the screen and it zooms. Can't do that on the Google Pixel, but we do have the pause button. So when I'm recording, and this is actually I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna do this. I got this cool new camera. I'm gonna put this. Can you see my
Throw that up there.
Can you see my phone?
Yeah, we can see
it. Let me zoom in a little bit. Let's like, whoop, there we go. So we got zoomed in. So when I hit record here, I've got this pause button. So it's recording, which you can't really see, but it is recording, and I can hit pause, and it's paused that video. So I can now readjust myself into a different position and then I don't hit the record again. I just hit that button and it's recording again. So the videos I just recorded today, I did that. So I can hit pause. It's not recording right now. I can move the phone around, do whatever. And then when I want to start again, I do that. So that's one way to get your backgrounds different, because you can do the pause feature. And when you do the pause feature, you can move around between that. And it's not 6 or 7 different video clips you're having to send into somebody. It's one. It's one video clip. So that's what I do. It's a little tip.
Very
Jason,
smart.
One thing I want to add to that. So this is like probably one of the easiest, most awkward tactics that you can do, but I promise it works. Hopefully my camera follows me, so I'm going to stand up. So I tried this and it worked really well. Try to plan your video out in sentences. So for an example, I'm just going to do a video right here and pause. Okay. Here are the 3 steps to creating a 1-minute video. And then I'm going to turn a little bit and I'm going to say, the first step is creating your hook. It needs to be 3 to 5 seconds. And I'm going to turn a little bit. I'm going to say the second part is sharing your message. So bullet point that message. And I'm just going to turn a little bit every time I say a sentence. I know it's super awkward. I know it doesn't flow naturally, but I promise you, like, it's been creating really engaging content because people look at it and it's just very quick. And the team knows exactly where to timestamp. So just try it. It's super awkward. It was awkward for me when I first did it, but I promise, like, you'll see your videos. You'll even be impressed like how engaging it is if you just turn just a little bit and pause every 3 to 5 seconds after your sentence. It helps a bunch.
Yeah, that's a really, really good tip. One of my other media coaches that I've used in the past told me to, and actually I recorded a new Facebook ad video yesterday using this technique, where you just hold your phone and you've got the script written down somewhere, on a piece of paper, or it's on the screen. Mine was on the screen, and I would read the first sentence of the script that I wanted to read. So I don't have to memorize this whole thing. And I just hit record and I talked to the camera and did the first sentence. And then I hit pause. Of course, you iPhone users can't do that. So it'd be a bunch of videos. But but then I would read the second sentence and I would move to a different position and I would record that. And I kept doing that until I went through all 20 sentences. And now I've got all these 20-second or 20 clips that are like, Deven, what you were saying earlier, 3 to 5 seconds long each. But it makes me go through the thing. Now, I'm going to say this for your sake, because I know, Story, you can do this, and I know other editing platforms can do the same. You don't have to pause it. You could just keep it recording the whole time, and the editors can cut out all the dead air in between. You don't have to pause it, right? Am I saying? Is that correct?
Absolutely right. Yep. You can just go and do a one take wonder, and say and mess up and restate it and try another take again, and we'll go and find the best bits of all of it and stitch it all together. So it really is. Sometimes we get so paralyzed by trying to record the most perfect piece of content, and what we were trying to do is just make it so you can just record and then not think about it. Let the editors make it look pretty, But I think if you're trying to DIY it, I think what you're like suggesting, Jason, is so smart. Hit that pause button, record, and then you don't have to worry about the editing. You can just keep that clip really clean.
So for those that are choosing to edit on their own versus using you guys or somebody like you, because there's lots of companies that do what you guys do, none as good as you do, in my opinion. I've used many. But if they're doing it on their own, do you have any tips on how to record it so that it makes the editing portion easier on the back end?
Yeah, I think really that what you said is really key. Is so much of what editing is taking out the junk, and so there's a saying in software development: garbage in, garbage out. Right? Like if you put in bad video, you're going to get bad video out. So if you record a lot of content that you don't want to have to deal with or don't want to use, well, when you get to the editing app, all of a sudden you got a bunch of stuff to sort through. And so I think if you're trying to DIY it, the biggest way to save your time is be very selective on what you decide to record and what you don't. Otherwise, you're going to spend a lot of time salvaging, which is not what you want to have to do when you're DIYing it. Very time consuming.
Yeah, for sure. We got a question that came in from one of our viewers on the live stream. It says this, can you go into more detail on each platform's strengths and weaknesses regarding audience? You mentioned TikTok as entertainment, etc. Would love to get a handle for nuances on what platform works for different types of audiences.
Great question. Great question. So I think there's two main ways that the social platforms differentiate how they build followings. So one, as we mentioned earlier, was this recency bias. How much do they weight recency into their algorithm? The other, though, is network. Who are the people that you connect with and add on the social network? So let's look at a couple of extremes. Extreme one would be Facebook. You add friends on Facebook. The people that you are connected to on Facebook, generally, for the average person, are people that you know and you want to connect with to stay updated on their life. That's generally. YouTube, it's generally the opposite. I go subscribe and watch accounts that are just completely interesting to me. I don't necessarily know them. I have no personal relationship with them, but I find the content interesting. And I think where you start to see this transition is really with Instagram. Instagram has this idea of following people and public and private accounts. I can go and follow an account regardless if I know them personally or just find their content interesting. And I follow them or don't follow them. And so it's kind of this combination of interest-based and relationship-based mapping. Instagram weights recency higher than YouTube, right? And so if your audience on Instagram is going to be people that have a personal relationship with you and or people that have interest in the topics you talk about, and it also has a bias towards recency, then you're going to want to have lots of personal content on a frequent basis that you're posting to Instagram in order to, be in front of the algorithm, versus YouTube, where you're going to want to have longer form content that's extremely interest based in order to stand out in the pool of people that are sharing similar things about that information, because you don't have an existing relationship with people on YouTube in the same way you would on Facebook or Instagram. And then TikTok, which I think has really perfected the algorithmic interest-based recommendations. TikTok is more like YouTube, where I don't need to have made that post in the last month to get it to show up. I'll see posts from 6 months ago if the interest is there, right? And so there's a heavy weighting there towards the interest on the algorithm. But I think when you're thinking about the strengths and weaknesses of each platform and how much time to invest there, I think the clarity of your message and the strength of your personal relationships are a way to wear that. If you're like a person that has a ton of expertise, but no friends and no connections and no network, like you probably should go to TikTok or YouTube where you can really just focus on your information and let your followers come to you based off that. If you're in a business that depends on relationships, I'm thinking of something like a real estate agent or a mortgage loan officer or an insurance agent where your sphere of influence is extremely important. I would say Facebook and Instagram become more important to you because it's about maintaining those relationships with people. And so depending on your business, depending on what your kind of message is, I would say you formulate your strategy based off of those things.
That's good stuff. Deven, you got anything to add to that?
No, he took it. He killed it. Yeah.
That's funny. Well, what I thought we could do too is that's a great question. Thanks for submitting that question. Anybody else have a question? Just put it in the chat. Garen, our producer, will pull it and drop it on the screen for us to answer live. I think it would be cool to kind of show what one of the videos looks like, because I think some people would just like to see an example. So I can either pull one up on my phone, or if you guys got one, you want to say, hey, this is an ideal example of what a technical quality and artistic quality video looks like, and one obviously that's story edited. Would you guys want to pull one up, or Deven, you want to prep one while we talk about something else and we can show that, or I can put one on my phone, whatever
Yeah,
you guys want.
if you want to pull one up, Jason, I think that would be cool for your audience to just see it and know that you may have been behind it, because I think always
Okay.
best.
Well, we'll do that. So let me figure out how to get this thing zoomed in the right way. So make sure it's showing up on screen correctly. So these are videos from my Instagram, just Reels feed. And so I think this one, let me turn this back up. This was one that you guys did, I don't think too long ago. So let me hit play. Oops. Never start this company. That's when life started to change for me. And that's when I went from good money to being a millionaire, from having to run a company every single day to not having to run it every single day, from doing what I thought I was good at and should be doing to what I really am amazing at. Most are living, at worst, they're honest about it and they hate it.
I can definitely see any business owner that's starting a new business. That's how you're thinking of it. Like, why would I want to be an accountant whenever I'm doing power washing on the side, and I could create a big business out of this and blow it up, and then you get stuck into the other 98 people that are doing the same thing.
So this was a podcast that I was on with somebody else, and so it went back and forth. But what's interesting, as we showed there, is it has part of just me, part of the other guy, and then there's clips thrown in there on the back end. There's interesting video or audio in the background. There's on-screen graphics. That's a video people are going to want to watch. And I had 2,500 views of that one. I think 48 likes and a few comments. So that's probably about par for the course on what I'm seeing on my artistic and quality-driven videos online. Deven, do you find one you want to show?
No, I was just going to ask if you don't mind. Do you mind pulling up the app? I think like it's so cool if you have it on your phone and like showing how you upload. If you could upload even video that you recorded and just showing that process. That'd be awesome.
So this is actually part of the reason why I think Story's killing it in terms of better than any of the other companies out there, is that this is the app. So you got the home with the dashboard, and this shows all the projects that they're working on. So this one's scheduled, this one's been submitted, that one's scheduled, and you can see savers or losers, the power of thinking, you're a job owner, ways to be more. Don't remember what it said. Bobby Harris, this was the guy that was on my podcast. The one thing keeping, I don't remember what that said. But what's interesting is if you go to these projects, like I can hit new project right here. I can put in a project title. I can type in, whatever name I want to do it. I can put in the instructions here, just whatever instruction I want to type in there, and then upload, and I can pull that video from any of the files on my phone. So if I go to my camera files, all these videos. So there's a 10-minute video I did. I obviously wouldn't submit that. Here's a 1 minute and 15-second short form that I did earlier today. And I could submit that by hitting the submit button, and it goes into the projects. So I'll go over here. There it is. Now, the other cool thing, and this is what I think is so cool about what you guys do too, is the prompts. So when you sign up with Story, that you go through an onboarding and they ask you what topics do you want to talk about. And so these are prompts. So entrepreneurship and business. What are the top 5 qualities of a successful entrepreneur? That's a prompt that Story in the app is giving me. So I could go and say, here's the hook. The top 5 qualities of a successful entrepreneur are grit, determination, resilience, adaptability, and vision. There's the hook, and then there's an outline with all these little points here, and then an outro. So I have my script right here in the Story app on entrepreneurship, and they've got scripts and hooks and prompts on all different topics that you can use for your particular subject matter, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. So these prompts are fantastic. And then there's a library of all the videos that have been done up to this point. Some have been released, some have not. Like the Savers or Losers is one that's going to go out soon. This 5 a.m. club, I think, went out either today or yesterday. This one went out this week. And then You're a Job Owner, Not a Business Owner is going to come out, I think, tomorrow. So this is the really cool part with this app that you guys have developed that sets you guys way ahead of the game. And that's why I recommend people go check out therealjasonduncan.com/story to get the app and to upload your first video for free, get them to edit it for free. All right. Any other tactics or tips we want to share with our audience on how to create the best videos on the planet?
I think one final kind of thought I'd leave with your audience is the best video that you make is the one you actually go and record. It's so easy to get like paralysis of like, oh, am I doing this part of it right and this part of it right and this part of it right? And you got to remember that there's people that go viral that are just on a skateboard holding a Capri Sun, like it's like, it's low effort. and I think that one of the things you said, Jason, is if you went back to the videos you started making in 2019 and compared them to now, you'd be like, oof, wow, what was I doing? Night and day, a little cringy, like, right? And I think that shows though the what it takes to get good at this is you've got to be willing to accept that your first stuff isn't going to be perfect. Like the first couple videos you make are not going to be great. I actually work with a lot of real estate agents who do a lot of cold calling for their work, right? And so they're like picking up the phone, calling somebody they never talked to before. They're on that prospecting grind. And it's funny because if you talk to them about cold calling, they all understand the first phone call you ever make is hard and awkward and they're going to do it wrong. Like they understand it's a skill to be good at something difficult, or going to the gym, right? Doing all of this stuff, we have plenty of analogies for, but for some reason, when we think about a video camera, we think like it's either natural talent or, I'm just not going to do it. And in just like anything else, recording video is a skill. So if you're thinking about getting on social, if you're thinking that this is something that you want to do, that the power of it, that's going to be helpful for your business, get out there a camera and record. And if you start recording, you'll get develop the skill and all the technical know-how will start to fall into place.
Jason, I got a question. Who wants to see the first video I recorded 5 years ago? It is actually about Connor. Do you guys want to see it?
Yeah, let's go for it.
This is how cringy. Like you guys are gonna cringe, and I'm gonna cringe watching it with you. So this is actually about Connor. Let me turn up the volume. I'm not sure if you can hear this. So. Like I want to jump off a cliff right now, right? Like that was like, and I was talking about Connor in that, which is funny. That was my first video. And now we go back to like my newer videos. I feel so much more confident. It's not like I got it the next month, but if you have coaches that can help you through this, that's going to speed up the process. If you have scripts that help you with this, I'll put up one of my more favorite videos that I had on here.
Hey, Gary, can you make sure this shows up on the screen on the live? Like I don't think the audience saw.
Yeah,
I don't think the audience saw.
Let's go back to that first video.
Let's go back to that first video. Let's go back to that first video. Then I'll show you the one that I like.
All right, so he's got this screen shared. Garen, are you able to put that screen share up on the main for the live? It says it's not coming through for some reason.
Ah, shoot, dang. I'll throw the link. I'll throw the link in here. I was literally in my father-in-law's basement 5 years ago. I was recording a video because I'm like, screw it. And I got 8 likes. Like it helped me grow as a person. And then I'll send you guys the video in the chat too, if you guys want to look at it, of like when I started feeling confident and really good at this. But cringy. cringy stuff, and that's okay. You got to start recording video.
Well, Garen, our producer, if you can grab that link he put in the chat, just drop that in the chat for each of the platforms we're live streaming. People can see that. Yeah, your hair, you got much better hair game today, man. You did good. You got
Yeah, I should be losing hair, but like I don't know what was going on there.
All right, I've got a few tactical questions that we can finish with today as we kind of land this plane. All right, so we're shooting vertical, we're doing quality, we're being consistent, we're doing on-screen subtitles so that the video can be watched silently, on mute so people can see that. We're posting on the platform that makes the most sense for us. So, for example, if we're wanting to be discovered by lots of people and we want to entertain, TikTok's probably your platform. If you want to connect just with people Facebook's probably the place you want to go. If you want to have a wider audience, you want to do a lot more educational content, YouTube. And then the best blend, in my opinion, the best platform is Instagram, but that's just my personal opinion. But you can get on Instagram, and all of those places you can post those videos for your audience. But let me ask you this. What about, here's kind of a tactical thing, hashtags and captions? Like how important are hashtags and or captions when you post a video?
Great question. So this was a couple months ago. Adam Mosseri, who is the head of Instagram, he had to go and make a press release to respond to Kylie Jenner, and there was some controversy going on. Kylie Jenner a couple years ago had some issues with Snapchat, posted about it, and Snapchat stock dipped like 16% because of Kylie Jenner dissing on Snapchat. So Adam Mosseri is getting ready to make this press release to her, and she basically was saying something along the lines of, make Instagram again. I really wanted to see, pretty pictures of my friends. I don't want to have to like focus so much on video. And Adam Mosseri made a whole thing about how video is the new focus for Instagram. They're going to be recommending it more. And one of the tidbits of information he dropped was that hashtags don't matter. So this isn't just, marketing guru guessing. This isn't just like, anecdotes. This is the head of Instagram said that how they weight the hashtags for the explore page is basically non-relevant, trivial in terms of how much they matter. And so I don't think hashtags don't matter. I think like part of this is when you have content on, when you have hashtags on your content, you want to let it be a simple thing for a user to go look at other things. I think it does have some trivial weighting to the algorithm, but I think it's one of the things sometimes people get tripped up on. It's like, well, I don't know what hashtags to use. And I think that sometimes people ask that question before like they ask like what video they should make, right? So I think that hashtags in actuality on Instagram specifically don't matter a whole lot. I've heard different things about TikTok. I've heard TikTok hashtags matter a lot on TikTok. And I also would share this one other bit about hashtags, which is that on Facebook, don't ever use them. The only people that use hashtags are marketers. No one else uses hashtags on Facebook. So if you want to stand out, like a sore thumb, it's like going to a really nice restaurant where everyone's supposed to be, wearing black ties and walking in with a soccer uniform covered in mud. Like you're just going to stand out and people are gonna be like, what are you doing here? Like, you don't belong here. So no hashtags on Facebook. Hashtags don't really matter on Instagram, but they're not a bad thing. They're not going to hurt you. And then hashtags really are important on places like TikTok and LinkedIn.
Gotcha. So hashtags, we've got that. What about the caption itself?
Yeah, the caption itself, important. I think it's really important. I think as videos become a bigger deal, it's become less important. So if you're using photos and images in your strategy, I think having good captions is critical. I generally think that captions should be short and sweet and to the point. There are some people who having long captions is a thing, and it's because they write really well or have a lot to say. We typically do shorter captions. We try to keep them like succinct to the point. I also think having emojis in your captions is important. Like people aren't going on social media to read a newspaper. They're going on social media to like read something interesting or fun. And sometimes we write these captions that just become these long walls of text, right? You need to go and write a sentence or two, hit enter, break up the line, hit enter, break up the line, add an emoji at the end. Like focus on readability and being succinct. Sometimes it's worth having a big long novel, but generally that's the exception to the rule. I would say that you don't have that much to say that often that you need a blog post worth of content on every single post you're making.
Is there I want to talk a little bit about stories for a second, because I know Facebook and Instagram have the ability to do stories, which are, for those that don't know what a story is, this is the one thing that confused me more about Instagram than anything when I first got on the platform years ago, was why would you want to post something that goes away in 24 hours? Well, that actually, there's a lot of value in that, because it may just be something you want to say and you don't necessarily want it permanently on your feed. You're not trying to hide it. It's just not valuable enough to stay permanent. For example, when I promote these EMSs, I do it all through my stories. They only stay up for 24 hours, and I'll post it every single day for 2 weeks leading up to this, and then it automatically goes away and it's not permanently on my feed. But on stories, is there a way to take the real video, where normally it's a minute and a half at the most, the reels, Instagram reels or Facebook reels, and push that to your story so that you get more people to engage with it without cutting it off? Because it seems like to me that the stories cut the reel off, and you don't get to see the whole reel because the way stories work. Is there a trick around that?
Great question. So we talked a little bit about this relationship between the platforms being about personal relationships and interest-based kind of things. And one of the things that Adam Mosseri revealed in that whole Kylie Jenner debacle was that users that use Facebook or Instagram, and Facebook too, but Instagram for connecting with personal relationships, do it most often through stories and not content in their feed. So what you see is story content is about, these are the people I know and have a relationship with. The feed has become more, this is the stuff I'm interested in that I want to see more of. Typically, the average person is not trying to build a personal brand on social media. And so what you find is that because things in the feed tend to become more curated and more intentional, some people feel a little bit hesitant to go and post to the feed, but knowing that something's going to be, disappeared in 24 hours, it takes away the fear of posting for them. So I think that the right way to use stories is post to them a lot, stuff that you don't care about staying. And what it's going to do is it's going to pull the people in your sphere in more. The more you post on stories, and the more that means the likelihood of people that see that in their story view up on that top row, they see your name up there more often. The more they see your story, the more it's going to get seen up there. So if you're posting on your story consistently, you're going to be getting tons more views from the people that are connected to you already through that. There is not a hack, unfortunately, for taking a reel and putting it onto the story so that you see the whole reel there. I think the best thing you can do is go and just share the reel there, put a sticker on it that says, tap here, watch the whole thing. But yeah, the Instagram is very conscientious about keeping that space a place where you can really easily interact with low effort content from your circle, and letting the feed be stuff that's recommendation based.
Well, since there's no hack, I feel better about what I did today. I have a 1:25 video that I'm using as an ad on Facebook, and it's going to start appearing on Instagram too. But I wanted to put it on my story. Well, the stories cut it at a minute. So what I did is I went into my phone editor, where I've got it just the editor, and I cut it down the last 25 seconds, and it became the second story. So they just kind of played. That was my hack. So there's if you're looking at my Instagram today, February 8th, 2023, you will see there's two stories. One's a minute and one's 25 seconds, but you will probably, you might see the snip where it clips, but it's 1:25. That's how I was able to do that. There's not an easy way around that. Well, guys, this has been phenomenal to talk to you guys, to get a little bit of insight on how to create the best videos on the planet for social media. I can't recommend Story highly enough. Connor and Deven are great to work with. Their team is fantastic. And if you want to try them out for free, go to therealjasonduncan.com/story. Get a free edit of one video, plus you get access to their content platform, all the stuff on their app that I showed earlier, all the prompts, etc. You get all that included, and you get a discount on it by using my affiliate link. So thank you guys for being on the show today. Any final comments or questions that you want to address for the audience before we kind of wrap things up?
I mean, I got something. Connor mentioned it earlier. Like, if you're afraid of recording video, record that video. Don't even try. Just go and record it, upload it through our app, and let us help you look really good and confident on that video editing. So download our app or go through our website. Like, it literally doesn't cost us anything. We lose money on that because we want to help as many people as we can help share their authentic message. So if you're afraid about recording video, or if you want to just try it out, download our app, pull up our website, upload that free video, and it won't hurt you. It might actually surprise you how many people start engaging with your content from that video.
Good deal. Well, Connor, Deven, thank you guys for being here. Nobody leave. I've got something I want to announce at the end of this, but Connor, Deven, thank you guys for being here. Garen's going to put you in the waiting room. We'll talk in just a minute when the show's completely over. But everybody watching this, if you like this type of content and the value that it provides, I want you to know that this is the type of stuff I do all day long. This is 100% free as content that I give out to all my audience, anybody that wants to watch this. But as a coach, I work with entrepreneurs to help them discover, to pursue, and to finance their purpose in life. And one of the things you're going to have to be able to do to get to that ability to find, to discover, pursue your purpose, and to finance your purpose is you've got to get out of the weeds of running your daily operations of your business. You can't discover your purpose if you're working 50, 60, 70 hours a week. I want to help you do that by helping you become a 10-hour entrepreneur. Deven referred to that earlier in the show, is how can you run your business in 10 hours or less per week, giving you all that extra time to take time to go find your purpose and to live it. One of the ways that I get people ready for that is another free resource I've created called the Exit Readiness Assessment. If you want to take that, it's completely free. It's about 20 questions, and it comes, if you're qualified, a free call with me just to go over how ready you are to begin the transition into becoming a 10-hour entrepreneur so that you can discover your purpose, and we can work on that together. If you want to take that free assessment, go to amireadytoexit.com. amireadytoexit.com. It's completely free. All you got to do is go take it, and you'll get, if you're eligible, you get a free call with me to review it. And it's a 100% free tool to get you ready to discover your true purpose. In our next EMS, which is coming up in 2 weeks, I'm going to have a guest expert on named Oscar Trimboli. And the topic is going to be the cost of not listening to your customers. I mean, you have no idea how much not listening to your customers is costing you. Oscar Trimboli is one of the foremost experts in the world on listening, active listening. He does workshops all over the world, and he's going to be here with us on the EMS on February 22nd at 3:30 p.m. Central Time, spending an hour, hour and a half with us, teaching us what it's like to truly listen to your customers. When your customers are, or when your competitors rather, are consistently winning and beating out you to your ideal customers, that cost is very high. And rather than them beating the competition or the competition beating you, do you ever wonder if just listening better to the people that you're already doing business with, would that make you more money? Well, the only thing worse than losing to the competition is winning the wrong customers. So ones that are unprofitable, keep changing their minds about what they need and what they want from your business. So just listening is going to get you better profits, better revenue, better customers. So you could join us live on this masterclass on how to listen to your customers, improve their customer experience, and ultimately make more money. To register for that, just go to therealjasonduncan.com/EMS. therealjasonduncan.com/EMS. I want to thank everybody once again for tuning in live to this live webinar, whether you're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Zoom, wherever you were. Thanks for being here. And if you registered on Zoom, you'll be getting an email from me by Friday with the replay of this. But thanks for being here. I'm the real Jason Duncan. Until next time, I'll see you later. Jesus is King.